Hi guys, my name is Hreski and this is my son.
Hreski.
And today we're going to be speaking about a very important subject. And today's 2020, this coronavirus actually put a lot of people out of work. Businesses are closing, businesses are suffering. It's pretty much maybe not a recession, right? Or if it's not a recession, at least a lot of businesses are having a hard time and they're laying off people. And we wanted to actually tell you why, for instance, at our company, we're not very worried. It's really not that big of a deal, really, how we're handling it and what we've done so that we feel the way we feel. So it's not too stressful for us. And maybe it's going to help someone. Yeah. It's as simple as that. Whether you own a business or whether you don't own the business. Bottom line, there are some principles that can help you to actually sustain pretty much most of the recessions. So now, obviously, nobody's bulletproof. None of the companies, not even the government, no one is bulletproof, but some families, some individuals, some companies, some governments are much more prepared than others. So, for instance, right now we're going through a difficult economical times when we see the stock market crashed the fastest in the history, right? Then we've seen US national debt actually increased fastest in the history. I think we're sitting at roughly $24 trillion in debt right now. The dollar is being demolished, really. And a lot of people are losing jobs. There's no really stability. Nobody knows when the economy gonna reopen and what's gonna really happen. And many businesses, unfortunately, are not gonna reopen. That's the problem. And let's discuss, for instance, why we feel fairly comfortable. I mean, there are some changes within the company. Of course, we do make some adjustments, but it doesn't really affect us very much. We continue doing business as normal. We continue moving forward, and we're not really as far as employees. Are we firing anyone at all?
Nope.
Are we planning on to fire anyone?
Nope.
Okay, no. Did we decrease anybody's pay at all?
No.
No. Okay. So what's the deal?
Yeah.
When everybody else is firing left and right, and it's not like we're better company than others. It just the way we look at things is maybe slightly different, and how prepared we are is slightly different than other companies. So, for instance, we understand that economy go up and down, up and down, up and down. It's cyclical. That's first thing to understand. So you just need to be aware of that. Every 10 years or so, there's going to be big crashes or big market adjustments, right? Economical adjustments. And let's assume it's every 10 years. So let's say right now it's 2020 and we've had a huge collapse in the stock market. Who knows what's going to happen with the real estate market? Typically it follows, maybe, perhaps, we'll see. Debt is keep growing, so a lot of people are losing jobs. That's the biggest problem, and a lot of businesses are going to close their doors forever. So if you understand the concept that every 10 years or so, it could be shorter, but every so on there are going to be crashes, and you're aware of it, then you're not going to really panic. You're not going to you expected that at some point it's going to happen. It's just a normal cycle. That happens, as simple as that. So the best way for you to handle it is to be prepared. How you get prepared is that you know that that's going to happen, and therefore you are financially prepared for those kind of things, so that you don't really need to make any drastic adjustments in your company, in your lifestyle. You already adjust your lifestyle that anticipates that crash. Unfortunately, a lot of companies, not companies, business owners of companies don't think that way. They think if the company going up, so is my lifestyle. Okay, if I make more income, therefore now I can afford to buy a bigger house, which is more expensive. I can buy more expensive cars for me, for my wife, for my children.
Yeah.
Let's say now I can take a big, more expensive and longer vacations, and so on and so forth. And there's absolutely no problem with that. I'm not against it. Live your life, enjoy it. But it might be financially irresponsible if you know that your company is fragile. Meaning, as your income grows, so is your expenses. But you never really, sometimes business owners never really anticipate or don't want to think about what if there's going to be a problem with the economy, what if there's going to be a crash. They're not prepared for that. So whenever that crash happens, and let's say the company stopped working, it's not producing the kind of income that they're expecting, well, they still have expenses right here with all of their expensive cars and whatever, but the income is now negative. So what do? Unfortunately, they have no choice but find the money somewhere. And that's usually what? The first thing that a lot of companies do, unfortunately, they fire their own employees. It's like kicking their own children out of the door. It's like, oh, sorry, right now I can't afford you. Get out. And it is unfortunate, but at the same time, they have no choice because, it's not very easy to switch from your expensive mansion that you live in back into 2-bedroom condominium in suburbs. First of all, it's not very easy because it's not very easy. It's a huge transaction. You need to sell it. Sometimes maybe you need to lose money on that big house to sell it, and you're not willing to do that. At the same time, it's mentally, it's kind of like you are already used to that kind of lifestyle, and now you need to go back down. So people do not want to do that. They're getting comfortable right here, and all of a sudden they need to go back to live to a basic lifestyle. It's very difficult to do, and therefore they're looking for ways to okay, how can I continue living that kind of lifestyle, a rich lifestyle, when I can't really afford it? So unfortunately, they fire their employees, but because they absolutely have to. What else? Maybe with their products and services, they are trying to cut corners. Maybe not, to produce their products with a less quality materials, for instance. There might be the employees that they do have, maybe they lower their pay as well. They ask them to work longer hours. So the quality of the service decreases as well. And that is the challenge. So the way we deal with it is, let's say we anticipate that there could be bad years. So for instance, if this month we didn't make any money, which I'm not saying that we didn't, I'm saying if we didn't. And let's say next month, let's say if we didn't make any money, and let's say the whole 2020 it was just a negative a year.
Yeah.
So what? We know that 9 out of 10 years are going to be fine, and 1 year maybe is going to be, let's say, at a loss. Let's hypothetically assume that this is normal, right? So you just simply adjust yourself so that way you are financially stable, so that your employees are not worried that they're going to lose their jobs, and you're just going to continue moving forward. So if this year is just going to be a bad year, let's say, and the company, let's say, is not going to make any money to their owners, so be it. If you are prepared to that degree, then generally speaking, the recession is just not a big deal. And I'm talking about, let's say, regular families, right? Average family with average income. If you just simply focus on your big expenses, and usually for average family, it is their housing, how much they pay in rent or mortgage, and their cars. Those are the biggest expenses. If you got those in control, if you make $5,000 a month, you don't need a $3,000 mortgage or $3,000 rent. It's just not the right ratio. It's too much. And then, of course, everybody wants to drive expensive cars, and the car loans are expensive. And to top it off, many folks have unsecured credit card debt. So overall, whenever things of that nature happen, when people start losing jobs, they start panicking. They're trying to get any job, whether they love the job or they don't. They're trying to cut all of the expenses, and they're looking a lot of the times in the little things like, I'm going to try to save $5-10 a month on car insurance. And sure, those savings add up, but we need to really look at the big expenses. And just like I said, for the average family, it's housing expense, it's a car expense. We all want to drive BMWs and Mercedes, but then financially we're always stressed. And is it worth it? In my opinion, it's not. It's perfectly fine to buy those BMWs and Mercedes if you wish to do that. Yeah. But as long as it doesn't affect you financially, even if the economy will turn upside down, if the economy is going to continue diving downwards, you need to kind of think about it that way. If that happens today, how well am I going to live? Will I be stressed about all my bills and stuff? And if you are, then maybe you shouldn't. You have to figure it all out before that happens. Somehow. I don't know, it's easier to say than done, but bottom line is, at our company, our number one responsibility, it's our duty and responsibility to make sure that the company is financially stable, and we expect there are going to be difficult times, difficult months. There could be difficult years in the future as well. So we always going to be responsible and expecting it and be prepared for those times. And that way, when they do happen, not a big deal. We'll just keep going. Everything is going to be fine. So bottom line is that understand those cycles and always be prepared for the difficult times, and look at those big unnecessary expenses. So before you start buying expensive things, make sure that if you own a business, make sure that your business is stable first, so that if there's going to be a recession, you're not going to be worried. Mm-hmm. If you've got all that under control, then whatever you do next is totally up to you. So in our company, we want to make sure that our company is under control. We want to make sure that if there's going to be a next recession in the future, we should be fine. And that's our number one goal, to make sure that we don't need to lay off a single employee. We don't need to decrease the quality of our products. We don't need to decrease the amount of money we pay to our employees. And it's our duty and responsibility to be in business for our customers, to make sure that we continue improving our products and services, and we provide the most amount of value. And we cannot do that if we are financially irresponsible. So that's why this recession, I look at it as like, you know what, sometimes it's a good reminder that we do need to think of and expect those kind of recessions in the future, and be prepared at all the time, so that if recessions do happen, you don't panic, you know. And another example I want to give you, if there are folks out there, right? They have enough savings. So if they lost their jobs, but they have the skills and they know it's temporary. So there are a lot of folks out there that may lose the job, and let's say they're perfectly okay not to work for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. They're perfectly fine. They know that, you know, sooner or later everything is going to go back to normal. They're going to find their perfect job again, and they're not stressed because they are prepared today. And again, focus on the big expenses, not the small one. We still need to continue living our lives, right? Yeah. We still want to, you know, once in a while we go out for dinners, and we go to movies and parks and play golf, and you know, we still want to continue living life and spend money that way, because one life to live. But at the same time, we need to make sure that we focus on the big expenses. If those are all under control, then you should be fine. You should have some savings. You should have some investments. You should be okay to continue living comfortable life and not be too stressed. So again, in our company, our number one responsibility is the financial stability of our company. Make sure if there's going to be a rainy day, perfectly fine, we keep moving as if nothing happens. So hopefully it's been helpful to someone, and that's the topic of our conversation. Mm-hmm. And let's I guess wrap things up at this moment, right? Anyhow, my name is Hreski. This is my son, Troy Hreski. Hopefully it's been helpful. Hopefully it's going to serve as a reminder to some folks to actually get the stability, financial stability in your life as well, in your businesses, in your personal life. And I'll talk to you in the next video.
Bye.
Bye.